What's up, explainers? Before we dive in, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button down below so you never miss a breakdown. Okay, let's get into it. We've got a top doctor resigning, the White House firing back, and it all ends with a response so blunt it went viral in a heartbeat. Today, we're breaking down how one single word choice kicked off a massive national firestorm.
I don't care. Wow. Those are the words of a former top public health official aimed directly at the White House press secretary. So how on earth did we get to this point? What could possibly lead a doctor to go toe-to-toe with the White House on live TV?
Believe it or not, this entire political showdown, a fight that stretched all the way from the CDC to the White House podium, it all comes down to the difference between these two phrases. Let's dig into how this one little word choice blew up into a national debate.
So, to really understand this, we have to start with the man who wrote the words in the first place. His name is Dr. Demetre Daskalakis, and let's just say his exit from the CDC was anything but quiet.
So who is Dr. Daskalakis? Here's the rundown. He was a top director at the CDC. He resigned basically in protest right after his boss got fired. And, this is the really crucial part of the story, he's been a major advocate for the LGBTQ community his entire career.
And this is the line that lit the fuse. In his public resignation letter, he was criticizing a policy change, saying it would, quote, threaten the lives of the youngest Americans and pregnant people. It was those last two words that got a big reaction from the White House.
You can bet that comment did not go unnoticed. The comeback came straight from the White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, right from the podium during her daily briefing.
Yeah. When she was asked about people leaving the CDC, Leavitt called out Daskalakis and his letter by name, saying he identifies pregnant women as pregnant people, so that's not someone we want in this administration anyway. I mean, that is a very direct, very public dismissal over his choice of words.
But Dr. Daskalakis? Oh, he was not finished. He went on CNN, and what he said next is what really turned this whole thing into a viral showdown. He got the chance to respond directly to the press secretary.
And he framed his whole response not as some debate about grammar, but as a fight against what he called a deliberate attempt to literally erase a whole group of people from the conversation.
In that interview, he basically said his word choice was completely intentional. He said he used the term pregnant people on purpose as an act of defiance. He told CNN, "I find it outrageous that this administration is trying to erase transgender people."
Which brings us back to the moment that absolutely exploded online. When he was asked about the press secretary's note, he just looked straight into the camera and said it. So I accept the note from the press secretary and counter that with, I don't care.
Okay, let's hit pause and zoom out for a sec. This might look like just another DC squabble between two people, but it's actually a flashpoint in a much, much bigger conflict happening all across the country. This one phrase didn't just pop up out of nowhere.
To get the context, you kind of have to look at the timeline. The administration has taken a whole series of actions related to transgender identity, starting way back on Inauguration Day. These have included things like bans on trans athletes and gender-affirming care, and even, more recently, threatening to pull funding from sex ed programs in 40 different states that mention transgender people.
Now, for a super important piece of context, let's talk numbers. Recent data shows that about 1% of Americans aged 13 and over identify as transgender. Just 1%. Okay, so keep that 1% in your head. Now compare it to this number, 604. That is how many anti-LGBTQ bills the ACLU is tracking right now across the United States. And if you break that down, as this chart shows, a huge chunk of that legislation, we're talking nearly a quarter of it, is aimed specifically at restricting transgender healthcare. So you can see there's a real legislative focus on this one community.
So, what's the big lesson here? What are we supposed to take away from this clash between a doctor and the White House? Is this, a simple phrase, pregnant people, suddenly stopped being just a phrase. It became a symbol. It turned into a political football, basically a shortcut for this entire nationwide argument over identity, language, and who gets to be seen and heard. Which leaves us with this final, pretty provocative question. As our politics get more and more divided, are we walking into a new era where single words, just simple phrases, become the new battlegrounds for our biggest cultural fights? So what do you think? Is this the new normal for politics? I'm really curious to hear what you have to say, so drop your take in the comments below. And hey, if this breakdown helped you get the story, do me a favor and smash that like button and subscribe for more explainers just like this one. Thanks for watching.